I talk to two, maybe three people a month um, about doing remediation in their basement or their attic. And they say, well, I'm going to look at two or three other companies as well. And then I'm going to compare the proposals and decide who I want to hire. So I always ask, how are you going to compare those proposals? And they say, I'm really not sure because it's really not my business. I mean, won't they all be the same? And I go, no. So I thought this would be a good topic to discuss. And you can apply these concepts to any project around your house. So I'm Bob Bennett. I own Farsight Management. We specialize in indoor air quality issues, and we do a lot of mold remediation work. So I thought we would talk about this for a few minutes. So I've got about 8 items on the board here that I wanted to go through with you. Now, I live in Ohio, and Ohio doesn't have any laws protecting their citizens from incompetent remediation companies. So first and foremost is national standards. When you live in a state like this, you have to have companies do their work in accordance with current industry standards or taking standard industry care. And to do that, you have to follow a national standard. So there's 3 of them in the United States. You have New York Department of Health, you have US EPA, or you have IICRCS 520. And that's a water damage restoration people. And all these standards are pretty much the same, but they're a little different in their nuances, but they all focus on removing and preventing it from coming back. But it has to be removed safely. We don't have any technology that can kill and evaporate into nothingness. You actually have to remove the contaminants from the house. There's no spray, and kill, and be gone. There's no such thing as that. So, scope of work. This tells the client what we're going to do. We're going to go down into the basement. We're going to remove the mold off the overhead floor joists. We're going to take down the drywall on 2 of the foundation walls. We're going to tear the carpet out and throw it away. It's the actual scope of the work that the person's going to do for you. They should all be standardized, that scope of work. Now, some companies like to do a little extra, this or that or this or that. Well, you can tell them that's okay, but put it as an optional line item. Not in the main bulk of the scope of the work, but it's an optional line item. And then you can give a cost associated with that. That way you can still compare an apple to an apple. Technical approach goes back to the national standards. It's how you're going to do the work. We're going to use engineering controls by building a barrier on the doorway. We're going to turn off the HVAC system. We're going to clean it and wrap it up in plastic. We're going to have to drop this ductwork because we have to get access to the area between the floor joists. We're going to take the debris, put it in trash bags, tape it up. We're going to clean the outside. We're going to have a vacuum. We're going to mop. We're going to wipe. This is the actual technical approach of how you're going to do the work. And it's important that you can understand each company, what they're going to do for you. Material versus lump sum. Always go with the time and material. Don't ever accept a lump sum. The reason I say that is that you need to be able to see cost versus time. And what I mean by that is that, say this company is saying we're going to be there for 4 days. It's going to cost you $5,000. This company just says we're going to charge you $4,000. It sounds like less than the time material company, but instead of being here for 4 days, they're here for a day and a half. You can't get 4 days worth of work done in a day and a half. Doesn't happen. So anyway, just be aware, always have a time material agreement so you can see what their billing rates are, you can see what they're charging you, and that if they go under or they go over, you can see the unit of measure of where their invoice is going to end up. Warranties. We don't have a technical approach of removing mold and preventing it from coming back because of our technical approach. That doesn't happen. You have to remember that mold is a symptom and water is the problem. you have to deal with the water issue or the mold will always come back. So if you remove the mold but don't deal with this, the water, give it a couple of weeks or a month or two, and you're going to call them and say, it's back. So we don't want that to happen. Don't pay attention to warranties. Normally a company will use that as a way of just encouraging you to hire them. And then you're depending on them to answer the phone or return your message if you do have a problem. And I've heard a lot of stories to the contrary on that. Now, there are products that you can apply to a surface that the manufacturer guarantees mold won't grow on this treated surface for 10 years. But the problem is that when you read the actual warranty language of the product, it says, we'll give you a 10-year warranty, but the exclusion is if the treated surface comes in contact with humidity or liquid water, the warranty is void. You can't get mold growth without humidity or water. So you could give a 10,000-year warranty if you're in the desert because there's no water there. So by default, if you have a claim, you have violated one of those two premises. So it would be either humidity or water. You violated one of those two because you got mold growth again. Educational biography. We've invested a small fortune in our education, and so this is really, really important that I convey to my clients to know and be aware of the variety of investment in a company's education. I have 2 professional certifications. They both take 8 years to get. So I get very irritated when a company comes in, well, I took a 2-day class and I can do this. I'm going, no. So our educational biographies are 2 or 3 pages long. It shows the conferences that we attend, the webinars that we attend, the participation in the professional organizations that we're part of. References. Any company worth their salt should be able to give you 20 or 25 references. Don't go with 2 or 3. No, 20, 25. And then when you call them, ask, how did they find this company? And can you give them, can you get their phone number? So if it's a word of mouth thing, you can dig down that rabbit hole and see if it's consistently correct that they do a good job. Cheapest. The cheapest company cannot be the best. That's just a fact of life for every company that you ever run across, because the cheapest company cannot invest in their education. There's just no money available. So I hope this gives you a good approach of being able to standardize proposals no matter what you're working on. I know that we've been talking about mold remediation, but this can apply to anything. All right, so I'm Bob Bennett. I'm with Farsight Management. It's better to use Farsight than Hindsight.